Okay, it is 9:16 a.m., 14 minutes till the market open. It is April the 15th, tax day. Woo! Yeah, just did my taxes yesterday, caught up, and well, I'm going to pay a lot of money to the IRS because I'm self-employed and I have a business. On top of that, I think I will be considering, because it seems so cheap with Charles Schwab and it seem to have availability, I will be considering in the future. I don't know how it'll work. Will I just make a separate account, or who knows? But I would like to make a second brokerage account, potentially with Charles Schwab, so I can do some shorting. Why Charles Schwab over Interactive Brokers? Because it doesn't cost much. I don't think they have locate fees or anything like that. They seem to have very good availability. They had LTNC, RGBP, so I don't see why I can't, consider shorting some of these as well. Not just buying them all the way up, but just a short, and it would be like a small $2,000 or $2,000 something account, so I can trade with it. It would be a margin account, so I would have only 3-day trades a week, which is fine because I'm not primarily focused on shorting, but sometimes I see some good shorting opportunities. SYXX, I would like to see it continue to run, for a few days, so ideally that's the case, and we can have a nice confirmed breakout or something like that. LTNC had a very nice panic yesterday. I saw it yesterday, but I was not there when this happened. I just wasn't there at the markets anymore. Look at the max volume. Look at the max volume. It's very impressive, but who knows? I might have been faked out all the way down, or maybe I would have nailed it perfectly. I don't know, but one thing to look at is the volume, and we see lots of volume here. The max volume was at the bottom here. Of course, right here you think the max volume was right there, right? So then you see the volume fading here, so you say, okay, let's go long. I don't know what would have happened, but it's a nice setup. Eventually it worked out when it did. RGBP number 5 as well, but I'd like to see this one run. Same with LTNC. I'd like to see both of these run, before I'd consider a number 5. I mean, obviously if it has a nice morning panic, I'll be in it, but ideally it is being pushed up a few more days so that there is just more range. LTNC doesn't have the same amount of range anymore because it had that massive drop. I mean, there's still range, but not too much. SYXX, again, I just want to see this uptrend more. I still have to look at more scans to see if there are any other stocks that I'm interested in. But yeah, that's the mindset I have right now. It is April the 15th, 11 minutes till the market open. Okay, it's 9:34 a.m. LTNC could have bought sure in theory at 36, but I didn't because this thing can do stutter steps. It was only down like 14%. It could drop a lot more. It did have this quick spike from 35 to 39, so 38 would have been easier. I guess with a 10% move there, but I just don't want to trade the first move anyway. It's just going to continue to be a wash. Ideally, we see another big volume candle or a bar, whatever you want to call these. But if it keeps looking like this, it might try to reverse. But again, ideally, I'd like to see, just not from the very beginning, another big volume candle. But it's just going to be a wash for now. SYXX. Excuse me, I missed this right here, ENZC. I'll watch ENZC, but it's not too ideal because I like the red candles. It's just kind of laying up in the pump. I'll watch it. It'll be a watch, but right now it's just, nothing I truly want to trade. Okay, 9:41 a.m. I am looking at ENZC. Not too ideal, but it did drop from 14 to 11, which is not too bad in terms of percentage. Really conflicted here, didn't want to really buy, although we did have this max volume panic, whatever you want to call it. The issue here is that the spike was just too much, so I didn't want to chase. It dropped as low as 11.32, and then when it spiked all the way to 12, like a whole penny, I'm just like, I don't want to chase. So even though it kind of worked out here, I would like to see this do like you know, a higher low, but I'll probably miss this one, and that wouldn't be too bad. LTNC did continue to spike, which is very rare for LTNC to not have a single stutter step. It just immediately spiked. Could have been in this trade, but I don't feel too bad because this thing is known to do stutter steps. They didn't pull up like a higher low or something like that, unless you want to call it now, but I don't know if that's really the same case anymore. It's just gonna be a watch for now, but I don't mind missing this one just because I'm used to I'm used to seeing this do stutter steps. So when I saw this action here, I wanted it to do a higher low from like this candle, put up a higher low or something like that. It didn't do that, so the fact that I missed it for that reason, I don't mind it too bad. Just wasn't a clear pattern. RGBP, nice spike. I just wasn't here for that one. Wasn't looking at it. Pretty impressive from 45 to 51. This one is choppy, but it has a lot of range. No trades, no setups right now, but I'm still looking. Okay, it's 9:53 a.m. LTNC looks like it might do another drop. It cracked 35, and let's see the low from yesterday. The low from yesterday was 31, so it still has room to drop. It might put up a higher low from this level, just like ENZC did put up a higher low. This one wasn't bad because even though it dropped a lot yesterday, it was kind of robbed of its morning, it was kind of robbed of its dead cat pounds, if you want to call it that. I was just not prepared for ENZC or LTNC because I was waiting for the second set of green candles. None of these had stutter steps today. So what does that mean? That means tomorrow I will trade even if there might be a stutter step, and it will be a stutter step. No, I'm just kidding. I will trade these tomorrow. I mean, obviously if there's a good setup, but I'll be less reluctant on waiting because of a potential stutter step. I'll play it a bit less conservatively, still cautious, but not, you know, too conservatively, just in case we get something like this where immediately spikes back and there is no stutter step, so the thing just keeps going. So I'll keep an eye on that. I will consider it. It'll just be small, you know, $500 positions or something like that, but it's just something to keep working on. Nothing else I'm too interested in. RGBP maybe will go red on the day, do the same thing as ENZC, LTNC. SYSX is a higher priced stock, so I'm not too interested in it, and it's only on the second day, but this is the mindset right now. Nothing I truly want to trade at the moment. Okay, it's 10:05 a.m. I really don't regret really missing these setups because again, ENZC was not a stutter step, immediately spiked the first candle. Tomorrow, if we do get number 5 setups, morning panics, I will be considering the first move up, the first green candle, and if it doesn't work, I'll just have to cut losses quickly. SYSX and LTNC is going to be that VWAP triangle setup I've been thinking of trying, so I'll consider it with these stocks. Just going to be a small position. The one that looks more ideal so far is SYSX. It has to show that it can spike too, because if it just hangs around the VWAP level and it doesn't trade significantly higher than it when it spikes, it's not going to be a trade. RGBP was interested in a dip buy. Again, I missed it too. I just don't like how the first green candle is so damn big. So, you know, you're watching it here at 41 and then the next minute is at 43 and you're like, well, damn, I don't want to chase this thing. So then, you know, I guess at least me, it scares me from wanting to dip buy this stock. So that's the case that I'm in at the moment. Very impressive, but just no setups right now. It's just gonna be a watch. I don't mind if I miss, if I miss trades today or if I don't trade today. If anything, I can just keep learning from this. And yeah, nothing I want to trade right now, but I'll keep looking. Alright, it's 10:11 a.m. So with that VWAP triangle idea, LTNC had that big dip and then it had that second dip just below it. This was a bit excessive, but it went from 36 to 41 immediately. So good on that. Maybe if it drops at the VWAP level, I'll consider a buy, but not really sure if that's going to happen or not. SYSX again had that excessive dip off VWAP spike, and then we had a tiny one. Could have buy here, sure. The spread here I've noticed is pretty bad, but it could be worse, but it's a lot worse than usual. 939 to 1040. Ideally it cracks this 1050 level. And then maybe if it drops at the VWAP line, sure, but I feel like I might be late to this setup, especially with LTNC. Maybe not. It'll be a wash though for sure. I don't mind that I didn't trade anything today. Could be a nice just mental break, I guess, but definitely ENZC looking back now in hindsight. Sure, it makes oh, of course it makes sense. Higher low from here. Didn't spike that much. Had this have happened at 9:30, this would have been nice, but we didn't got to the end of the day, which is kind of a bad sign, but it's doing a nice uptrend. Could have been a slow number 5 dip by here, risking it off of here. That could have been a nice one. LTNC, did I do something like that? No, because this was more of a double bottom. I remember considering that setup here, but I didn't like it. Then it made this low right here. It would have not have worked until here, and this would have been like an inverse head and shoulder, so maybe I should have been more focused on that and I would have traded it. But yeah, ENZC did provide a slow number 5, LTNC, inverse head and shoulders, not a slow number 5, because right here was a double bottom, and I don't want to trust double bottoms. RGBP just ripped through the VWAP level, so yeah, maybe no trades today. That's totally fine. I'll be watching LTNC maybe for a VWAP hold. Maybe it did it already, but yeah, it looks like there's a chance I might not trade today. Okay, it's 10:26 a.m. Yes, it looks like that VWAP triangle setup worked here. I didn't get in the trade. I could have gotten in at 970, but I didn't do it just because of the fact that the spread is crap, the volume is crap, only 500,000 shares traded on the day, and because it is a $9 or $10 stock, I like trading small positions with setups I'm not too familiar with. This VWAP triangle setup, I trade maybe $300 to $500, just a small position, just a proof of concept, not because I'm trying to pay bills or something, just to see if the setup works. And it worked here. So again, could have bought a 970. There was plenty of time to get in at 970, I believe, although it was a bit sketchy because a few red prints would go by in the 950s, so that was definitely a bit sketchy, as you can see there by that wick. But it did this VWAP setup. I just would have traded it had there been more volume, or had the price have been lower, so then I could have traded a small position size. If this was a $5 stock, I would have been happy with 100 share position, so then I'd only be in for $500 again, just to see the proof of concept. But at the same time, I don't want to throw $1,000 into a trade I'm not 100% confident in, just something I'm still practicing. But would have definitely have sold here, and we did get that spike higher than this 1050 level here, so it showed that it could do some kind of an uptrend. Now I might just hold VWAP and then do an uptrend, but I don't want to trade that. I probably don't want to trade today because I feel like I missed too many setups, and I don't want to be chasey or something like that, or revenge trading. So unless we have like another massive LTNC drop like yesterday, I'm not gonna trade anything, and in fact I'll just probably call it off early, just take a nice break and study. RGBP, again, consider this for the VWAP triangle. It had this massive dip below VWAP, came back, mini dip off of VWAP, and then we had that excessive spike here, nice, to 51 from, what is this, the 46, so that's nice. That's a 10% move right there. It did spike up to here, then it kind of struggled a bit, didn't really do a higher low. This is more of a lower low if you ask me, so the pattern is kind of dead with here, but it kind of did it. RGBP, not the cleanest one, but it did. LTNC was another one where it had this drop here and then a higher low, but this one was a bit iffy. This was more of a head and shoulders, inverse head and shoulders. ENZC sure is doing it too, but it works best when the highs of the range are above VWAP and the lows are below. So this is just right under it. It could break it, sure, break out, or it could just choke right there. HPNN is a stock I added recently. It looks like maybe a confirmed breakout setup here. Maybe a confirmed breakout. If it spikes nicely to a higher level and then it dips here and holds support at 62, I'll consider it. Otherwise, I'm gonna call it off. No trades today. I think a lot was learned. I have some screenshots to take of all these patterns, and I'm gonna have to review them so I can better prepare myself for the next day. Unless we have a confirmed breakout here or some massive panic or just something crazy, it's probably gonna be no trade today, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, it's 10:44. Yeah, I'm just gonna call it off here. Just wanted to make an update. HPN, it never really did a confirmed breakout, unless you count right here, just off of this level, I guess at 62. Sure, you could have called it, but it wasn't perfect. ENZC, again, it makes sense now. Probably should have just been less scared. Double, I guess a triple bottom. Definitely a higher low. No stutter steps today. Missed LTNC, ENZC because I wanted, well, I didn't want, but I was expecting a stutter step. It didn't have a stutter step, instead it spiked immediately. So tomorrow I will be trading these if the setup happens, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I just have to cut losses quickly. It's just going to be a small position in the initial green spike, but then if it puts up a higher low like this, I don't see why I shouldn't trade a larger position. RGBP, this one was I mean, it worked, yeah. Again, this one gave you a little more time, but again, I was expecting the stutter steps on these stocks. No stutter steps today, threw me off completely. And then if it didn't have a stutter step, the first green candle was huge. Not in this case, but LTNC first green candle was huge. You can see there wasn't much range. You had to have bought at the bottom, and I had the opportunity. Again, you just have to be ready for that. ENZC was also very similar. First green candle was massive, not much range. Ideally, no stutter steps, small first green candle, and they get bigger. But that wasn't the case. I'm ready tomorrow for these setups. If it's going to be any sign of a turnaround, I'll consider it. I'll be very cautious though. I'm going to wait for an actual green candle, and I'll just be in and out very quickly. And if we get a higher low like we have here with the ENZC, LTNC didn't do it, but it did do an inverse head and shoulders. I don't see why I shouldn't trade a larger position size. So yeah, I'm just going to call it off. I think a lot of lessons learned. Sure, I didn't trade anything today, but I think I learned a lot, and that's the most important part. At least I'm not down trying to chase something, or trying to revenge trade or something. It's just a matter of learning and continuous screen time with these setups.